Follow me to the sunshine streets, open your ears and brains. A recipe of fresh and bloody treats, right here's where you jump the trains. The clock stops here, so grab a beer, throw your sensibilities away. We ain't walking, we're talking to the north, east, west, and south. This broadcast is fast like the dead we will last. We're running on rotten mouths. We're talking to the north, east, west, and south. This rotten cast is fast like the dead we will last. We're running on rotten mouths. Come on, we're running on rotten mouths. We're running on rotten mouths.
All right, welcome back to This Rotten Podcast, episode 2. Got a 2-year-old pod. Well, it's like it's not years; it's 2 episodes now. Each episode feels like a year.
Got new little tyke walking around.
Little toddler Toddcast.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
Toddcast.
Toddcast. A podcast with a bunch of Todds.
Dude.
It's like, oh, here's Todd.
It's Todd?
Todd?
It's Todd?
No offense to people named Todd.
Yeah.
There's lots of cool guys named Todd.
So, yeah, this is our New Year's episode. It may come out after New Year's, but we're going to talk about some things we're excited about, some things we're celebrating from last year, and just, where have we come from, where are we going, that type of thing.
Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, you're a big Rednecks fan.
No. Continue, please.
Okay. First thing we're talking about is, so a new trailer dropped for a movie, one of my favorite film franchises of all time, 28 Days Later. So there's a new one, right? We're going to take a look at it in a bit here and kind of give it our thoughts, because that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants our opinions on everything.
Of course, that's why we're here.
Yeah. Why are you watching?
You think we wanted to do this?
Yeah. I don't know. I want to talk
we
about
have
everything.
to do it.
I just want to sit here and stare at you for 1 hour.
Nice. I knew it. I
Not
fucking
you. Like,
knew
I was,
it.
Like into the camera.
Oh, the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
The
you.
people. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Check yourself. Now, so I'm going to talk about 28 Days Later, because it's actually one of the inspirations for This Rotten World, which is this big old book. So this is the one I just put out, number 10. But this is an epic zombie series. And 28 Days Later is kind of the inspiration for that. So as I was talking about on the last episode of our podcast, which one was that? What was the last episode?
The first one.
I there's so many of them, I get them confused.
It's hard. It's easy to do that.
So I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay. So one of the reasons that I started writing the zombie books is because of 28 Days Later. Right? I love 28 Days Later. It's awesome. It has lots of carnage. It's got fear. It's got survival. The cast is excellent. You got Brendan Gleeson. You've got I can't remember the lady actress's name, but she's awesome too. The character's name is Selena, but I can't remember her name, but she showed up in some other stuff, which is really cool. And you got Cillian Murphy, right? So fantastic cast. The special effects are great. And it's one of the few zombie movies made by an Oscar-winning director, right? Danny Boyle. Can't actually think of any other Oscar-winning directors that made zombie movies, although Romero should have won one for Dawn of the Dead. So one of the things that has always bugged me about 28 Days Later, and it's really my only negative, is the opening of the movie. Right? Do you remember the opening?
Was it because you could see his wiener? Is that what bugged you the most?
I am. What do you call that when you just don't care about something?
Indifferent.
I'm indifferent.
Apathetic.
Yeah, for a writer, I'm absolutely fantastic at coming up with words.
I think
I'm indifferent to the wiener.
Now,
but
I'm going to say that I wasn't indifferent, but for a different reason than what you're thinking. Okay. Well, I don't know what you're thinking. What I'm thinking.
No one knows what I'm thinking.
Is I was like, bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Because we show a lot of the female form, or at least used to in movies and stuff, and not complaining here about that. But when you see a dongler here and there in a movie, I think it's pretty brave, but it's also like it's fair.
It's fair.
And it's one of Mr. Murphy's first films, right? Probably his first, like,
As
big
far
film.
as I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they're
that
like,
it's
hey,
his
you're going to have your
debut.
dongler out. And he's like, cool.
Yeah, let's
Boom.
do it.
And he did.
Now, why is he just laying there with his, as you say, dongler?
I could have said Johnson, but I would have laughed for the next 10 minutes because it's hilarious.
Yeah. Why is he laying there? Do you remember?
Oh, man. So I saw that in the theater 150,000 years ago when it came out. Basically, all hell's breaking loose a bit, and he's in the hospital, right? And like, because, right?
Kind of. Like I said, this guy's got the best. He's got a steel trap for a mind. My friend Nick's got the steel trap mind. No, so he's in the hospital because he was riding his bike because he's a bike messenger, which,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't want to say anything bad about bike messengers, but in the city, like, they're kind of annoying.
It's brave job.
Let's go with that. And he gets hit by a car, right? That's what I remember. And so he's in a coma, right? So when he wakes up...
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Are you getting me now?
I do. I forgot. I totally actually forgot about the.
You forgot why
bike
it's
messenger,
called
but now,
28 days later.
No, not that part. I know that part.
What?
Well, because he wakes. Yeah, it's 28 days after the thing happened, but I totally forgot about the bike messenger part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 28 days later, right? Now, when we get into the story, he gets out of the hospital. He can walk apparently after laying in bed for 28 days. He's just like, let me just go for a walk.
Yeah.
I got some sodies. I got some candy bars.
He's fine.
I'm good. I'm good. I just been laying here. I didn't die, despite the lack of feeding tubes or anything.
Yeah.
I'm still fine.
Just laying there with nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Naked. Not even covered up.
No.
Right. Just naked.
He slapped his naked ass on the table. And
so you can see the
dongler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it's called. And
the slap a dap when Scott's giving us some
Scott's
information here
with some data. You lose 1% of your muscle mass every 24 hours. You lose 1% of your muscle in bed. Interesting.
Wow.
So just if you just lay in every 3 days I'm losing 1% of my muscle mass. Like, for reals, like, even if I'm awake or if I'm like bedridden. Okay. So yeah, for 28 days he would have lost 28% of his muscle mass.
But that's a static stat. Imagine how much more mass
without
he lost
fluids.
Because he wasn't being fed or anything.
Yeah. So he would basically be a skeleton. It was like, oh, I woke up.
Are we supposed to imagine as the viewers that he... Thank you for that, Scott, by the way. Are we supposed to imagine that, okay, it's 28 days later and some bullshit's gone down, and so maybe there was stuff in him, feeding tubes,
yeah, we don't know the particulars. Like, as the audience, we're supposed to just be like, oh, I'm sure they took care of him for a while.
Okay.
Right? Because they're not like, it wasn't like anything was going on when he was a bike messenger. Because when he wakes up, he has no recollection of anything.
Okay, actually, that's logical, because he'd be dead.
Yeah, he would
absolutely would be dead if no one took care of him.
We don't actually know how long it was.
Yeah.
But the problem is that this story, he wakes up and everything's dead and gone. Right? He's just walking through a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
He literally walks for like, I'm over here. Here's Big Ben. I'm walking over to this church, blah, blah, blah. No one's around. Right? And I felt like that was a ripoff. Right? Even though I love the movie, I love the story, I always felt like there was a chunk missing from it. And so that was the inspiration for This Rotten World. Right? And it happened again in The Walking Dead. And like, I really got angry. I was like, they did that again. He just wakes up in a dumb coma. Because that's what happened to Rick, too. He wakes up in a hospital bed.
Yep.
Somehow still alive, right? And it's just a giant cop-out. And I just felt like I had never seen the actual carnage of a zombie apocalypse done correctly. Even in Romero's movies, right? These are like the godfather of zombie movies. Amazing. The special effects. Maybe not the acting, but the special effects, the stories, the commentary on them, those are all delicious, but you never really get to see the beginning of it.
Yeah.
right? The most you get is like, oh, hey, they started beating on a farmhouse, right? And then by Dawn of the Dead, you start to see some bits at the beginning where things are falling apart, but it's basically a dead world at that point, right? They go into the apartment building and everyone's just like, yeah, we just got 30 zombies down there. Like, it's our family members. What do you want us to do? They go to the mall and it's like, oh, okay, there's like 1,000 zombies out here. Cool. But you don't see how it happened. You don't see the little bits, the little pieces. And so that's why I wrote This Rotten World. And I feel like that's the point. So I thank 28 Days Later for sort of building my career, because I don't think I'd be here without This Rotten World. Not like I'd be dead in a ditch somewhere, but like as a writer, I wouldn't be in this spot without them having skipped over the best part of a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right. So we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, I don't know what he's saying.
What?
Scott has typed some things that don't make any sense up here.
I think
Shaun of the Dead, good intro.
Like,
are you talking about like, was theirs good compared to everyone else's? I would say no.
Really?
You don't know what the hell's going on. He wakes up and like everyone's like, it's a little better. I would say Shaun of the Dead does it a little better.
I think they did a pretty good job of that. They don't go into absolute specifics like you're saying, which I hear what you're saying. Like that could be, which is a lot easier to do in a book, really, because you have more time to describe. But like, yeah, I mean, that was a little. They at least kind of touched on it.
They didn't,
which actually added to the
it.
humor.
They didn't skim it, right?
No. Yeah, and it worked. It was convenient in a way.
Yeah,
it was almost automatically convenient because it was funny to like watch him just kind of be like, "Did I just see that?"
Yeah,
for a while and have it build up. But you're right; it was more of a build up in that than any of the other ones that you. It
was like, but then again, the issue is, in a movie you only have so much runtime, right? You can't really do as much. So I understand from that perspective. In a book, and I've read plenty of books where it's like, hey, here comes alpha male Johnny. He saw this all coming and hid in a vault for a month.
Yeah.
I've literally seen this story, right? And he just comes out like, I got all these weapons. I'm having a fucking field day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's lazy, right?
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead did good because it was character focused. You're not going to go around and see what's happening in the rest of London. You're not going to learn any of that. So when I went to write This Rotten World, I was like, I'm going to show everything. I want to see, and it takes place in Portland, so I wanted to see what's going on at the hospital. I want to see what's going on in the streets. I want to see what's going on for the police. I want to see what's going on for just this mom in her house, right? So I was able to bring it all together and kind of create this tableau of like, this is how things fall apart.
Yeah.
And I think people really responded to that. And that's kind of what sets mine apart from a lot of the other ones where it's like, oh, here comes Military Mac and his M16.
Yeah.
And
where it just turns into like a jerk off story at that point.
Oh yeah, it's just total like
oh fuck, he has the stuff and he's gonna use it.
Oh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
He knows how to make bombs and he can like tap a maple tree for syrup and like live off the land. Like, get out of here. Like I can't do that. I can barely I can't even tie knots, okay? I'm dead. In reality, I'm dead. Yeah. But let's get back to 28 Days Later, because you said something amazing to me. And you had seen 28 Days Later a long time ago, but you had never seen 28 Weeks Later.
No.
You'd never seen it. All right.
Never seen it.
Do you want me to tell you why you should see it?
I do want you to tell me that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why you should see it. So, again, 28 Days Later, like most zombie things, does not, or 28 Weeks Later, does not show the downfall of the world. What it does do is it has the most intense opening I've ever seen in my life for a horror movie. Like, it's literally the most intense opening. And it, like, sticks with you, and it's terrifying. The special effects are awesome. It's got Robert Carlyle in it. I don't know if you know him. He was Begbie in Train Spotting. He was like the small little loudmouth drinking guy.
Okay.
Did you ever see that cannibal movie? Oh gosh, what is that called? Can't remember it. Cannibal movie.
Cannibal movie.
It was like a Wendigo type situation in the Civil War times. Ravenous. It was called Ravenous.
Oh,
Did you ever see Ravenous?
didn't we watch that on
We
like
might
some
have.
Halloween or something?
Maybe. It doesn't seem like a Halloween movie, but
It's
might have
not,
been like a
but-
horror movie I would have watched.
Yeah, I feel like we did, but
Anyways, Robert
Yeah.
Carlyle's awesome. You'd recognize him as soon as you saw him. And it's got pre-known Jeremy
Scott,
Renner,
can you pull up Robert Carlyle real quick?
a pic of
Little
Robbie
pic of that?
Carlyle.
Yeah.
And then it's got Jeremy Renner before you even knew who he was.
No way.
He's in it, yeah. And who else? Rose Byrne. I don't know how to say her name. Byrne.
Oh, okay.
She's in it before you knew who she was, really. It's a great cast. And the director's fantastic, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you recognize him? His
Yeah.
younger photo? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got the best opening of any zombie movie, any horror movie really for me.
And they stick to, so the time for the 28 weeks
It's 28 weeks later.
is
So the
28 weeks
premise
later
is this.
from.
Here's the premise.
Okay.
Because the premise were like, they're like, you know, there's this big argument like, are they zombies? Are they infected? Like idiots are like, well, they're infected.
Thank you, by the
they're
way.
not really zombies. And I'm just like, they act just like zombies. The only difference is, yeah, they're still alive. You can kill them, right? But since they're really alive, it's an infection, and it's never really shown that they're feeding off people. Like you never really see it. They just like come up to you and like puke blood in your face, and then like go running away.
Hot.
Yeah. Some people are into that. So the premise is that 28 weeks later, all the infected have died off, right? Because they're humans, they're not feeding or anything, so they're just dead.
Yeah.
And then they go back to this island. They're repatriating the people that got evacuated from London, and they're bringing them back to like be like, here you go back to your country. We don't want you here because, you know, certain people are like, yo, they're all rapists and murderers. They got to go, right? So
What people are those?
I don't know who would possibly say that, but that's just what I would assume it would happen.
Sure.
Probably in France, not America. We would never do that.
No, hell no.
We like people
We're the land of the-
mostly.
yeah.
So they were probably like, get the heck out of here. I'm tired of feeding you. You're all rapists and murderers. Go back to your island. So they go back there and they try and do this experiment, and it just goes wrong. Okay, that's the premise of the movie. That leads you up to the conflict.
Okay.
Okay, and it's awesome. Like, though it's on a much smaller scale, it's like they tried to do what I did in This Rotten World to show kind of that downfall of, well, here's this series of dominoes, and it goes, boom, this person's infected. Boom, these people are infected. Boom, this pocket's infected.
See, that's fun.
And it's like, bow, bow, bow.
That's
Everything
fun.
falls. And it still manages to follow specific characters around, right? It's more of an ensemble cast, but there's still two characters that are kind of the focus. So it's actually really well done. Like,
Yeah.
I think I actually like it better than the first movie.
Cool. I got to see it.
You got to see it.
God damn it.
We should watch it one time.
Yeah.
And so that brings me to the next one. They're doing a third one, and I'm super excited about it. I think I have not been as excited for a movie like this since they
Yeah.
announced they were going to do a new Alien movie, and then I saw it, and it was like, okay, you're gonna do that again. Okay, cool. More droids, awesome.
Yeah.
Or androids? Well, they were androids, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a peek at the 28 years later trailer,
Yes. Finally. I've been
so that you can
waiting
see.
to see
I feel
it.
like we might need to bring up the 28 weeks later trailer just so you can see that. Do you want to do that one first?
Ooh. Okay.
Scott,
yeah.
can we bring that up real quick?
Nice.
So
Yeah.
because I feel like you got to at least see the trailer for the second one before you go into the third one,
I got to.
right?
Yeah.
You just got to look at this. Anyways, this is one of my favorite zombie series. I don't care if you think it's infected versus zombie. I don't really care. Like, you're being nitpicky. Stop it. Don't be that person. What are other things people are nitpicky about? Weeks.
Let's see. Calling pop or calling it pop or calling it soda?
Does anyone get upset about that?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people get upset.
Pop is dumb.
People get upset.
Pop, what are you,
bro.
5? Pop? Want some cake?
What do you
some
call
bubbles?
it? Soda pop. It's kind of cute. I like that for a name for things.
Here we go. No, that's an ad.
I got
we're
a
gonna
zombie
get there.
badge. I'm a zombie cop.
I'm zombie cop.
Zombie cop, but I don't look like a zombie.
I'm arresting zombies because they're illegal.
No, I arrest humans because I'm a zombie cop.
They're not allowed to be here. They ain't got no green cards. Here we go. This is it.
Welcome to London.
This fight kind of looks like the beginning of a video game.
How old are you?
Kind of has that feel to it.
12.
Yeah.
I think that makes you the youngest person in the.
Those sacks of folks, were those folk sacks?
I think those were folks.
Those were folk sacks, right? Repopulation.
You know what? What's that mean?
Oh,
What
I'd come back to that.
We kill it.
Oh, he's in it too.
Yeah. I still
That's got to be one of his
It's
kind
one
of
of his
first
first
big
roles,
ones, yeah.
Into direct contact with the infected.
What happened?
Here's the guy.
To Mum.
Hmm. So they is it going to show like the kind of the same type of what do you call them when they're infected?
I just call them zombies. Man.
Still
You-
zombies, yeah.
Like other people that are like very uptight, would be like, no, they're. You just call them the infected.
And they think of that as a completely different genre.
Yeah.
Almost.
Because they're. I can't. I don't even want to get into it. I don't need these people coming after me.
Not this time.
I'm
Everyone in the
I'm
horror
filthy,
community
but I'm still
just
beautiful.
calls them horror, like infected bros. The infected bros will come get you.
Right.
The infected police.
The infected broccoli heads.
Yeah.
I still smell amazing, even though I've been running for. I'm so hot. Look at me. Yes. Horror returns. Yeah, I mean, are any of these clips like from that first intense opening part?
One was.
One
but
was. It's not your baby. Oh, it's not over. Nice.
What do you think? Does that get you pumped to see that? Or
I would totally watch it.
You would watch it?
Yeah, even if not just for the dirty blonde in it. I meant her hair.
Wow. You got to- Like, I'm going to need you. You ever seen There's Something About Mary?
Yeah, of course.
Talks about not going out without a loaded gun.
Oh, you
I'm
need
gonna-
me to, do we need to take a
I'm going
a
to need you
quick
to
break, or-
maybe remember that line before you come to shoot the podcast, because
I understand. I was talking about her hair color, but
I'm not
apparently you think,
going to get into it, but yeah.
maybe I will.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to need you to remember that line. All right.
Hey now.
So we're going to check
We've gone nuts.
Here we
We've
go.
gone crazy.
So you haven't seen the second
No,
one.
I haven't. I've been
Because
waiting.
you're just like, I don't know what you do. You're like a pop culture void. You're
Sometimes
just like, I've never heard of that in my life. Oh, this most popular thing that everyone else is doing. You're like, I got no idea. Like, but it's hit and miss. Like, you know some stuff.
I know it's weird.
But then there's other pockets where you're like, really? You don't know that? All right. So this is the third one. It's 28 years later. So that's quite a bit after. Let's check this one out. Before we get started, I will say this is probably the best constructed trailer I've seen in years. Just like the layering of it and the design of it and how they cut it together. But so let's enjoy this. Feel free to give me your thoughts as you go, because I need to know who you think is a dirty blonde in this.
Okay.
Wait, sit here. Sit. Auntie, what's going on? Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from this spot.
Kind of ruins the Teletubbies.
Oh, Tubby Custard.
Oh, wow. Tubby Custard, dude. That has to be a character in one of your books.
6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11.
Oof, yeah, this is eerie, dude. Like it.
Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't.
Explosive tip arrows.
Look at
Nice.
what's in front of you. Boot, 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 boot,
kids. I mean, yeah, see that coming.
Drop, they will get the top of you. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the wall.
Wow, yeah. This looks rad.
The things are something different. Oh, my heart keeps me from going lunatic. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the wall. 7, 6, 11, 5, 4.
That's pretty
What do you
badass.
think? What did you like about that? June 20th, we're gonna be there.
Yeah,
We got to be
yeah,
there.
we got to be there. I think there was almost like a
Hey, and the last thing it says Ray Fiennes is in there. I didn't see him.
no shit.
Did you see him?
No,
I didn't recognize him. I don't. I have
he could have been the rising zombie right
He could have been. I have a medium collection of what he looks like, but I like him as an actor.
Oh, me too.
But yeah. So what did you like about this?
There was almost do you remember Valhalla Rising? Valhalla
Yeah.
Rising?
Yeah.
There was like a little kind of like that kind of air in there a little bit too. It was like I liked how it was kind of away from the city, and it looks like they're like a survival community,
Mhm.
and they have all these like strict rules to, watchtower, seamstress, like things like you got to do this, and then you have this like almost like this lady with that cadence,
Mhm.
like almost like that's like a drill instructor, like
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, it's like
instructing you
jarring.
for
It's
less of
like you never
Yeah.
like that voice is like it's like crackly. It's through the radio. It just makes you feel like unsettled the whole time
yeah.
you're watching that thing, which I think adds to the effect of that trailer. That's what I was saying. Like when I was like, "Yo, this is one of the best cut together trailers I've seen in a while."
It's fantastic.
It's because of the sound design, the use of music, and the use of the visuals. I really can't wait to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I like when people I like when you go into something like a completely different collective consciousness. It looks like they're gonna really touch on in this movie, with where with the other movies it's still like we're scurrying around, it's in a city, there's a lot of military, fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. This kind of action, it looks like they've already kind of established like rules, like hard set rules, and like everybody's kind of probably has. I don't know though. It looked like it was also something that was like snuck up on people. Like there they are in a room watching Teletubbies, and the mom comes in and it's like,
I mean, I think some of those scenes. I think there's going to be like I was talking
Flashback
how they
maybe?
skipped over the opening in the first movie.
yeah,
I feel like that's going to be like, well, they're going to go visit that a little bit to reset the stage.
that must have been what they
I mean,
were.
it's
Yeah,
been like I can't even remember when the second one came out. It's been like 15 years since the second one came out. I think
yeah,
maybe even more. So people, they're going to give them some of that revisit so they can get used, remember the lore of it and stuff like that. So I'm assuming there's probably some pre-infection
yeah.
scenes that'll kind of set up some of these characters and their damage and their character arc. So that's what I would think. I could be wrong though. We'll
I
see.
like the survival type stuff. So that's what's always interesting to me. Like just that little clip, and then the drill lady is just like, oh, they have these like set rules and ways that they have to adapt to the new situation. That's super interesting.
No using the bathroom in the dark, right? That's number one.
Absolutely.
You got to have someone with you when you're using the bathroom.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. Well, we just did a whole nice ad segment for the 28 Days Later franchise, all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to watch 28 Weeks Later at some point.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that.
What if I was to tell you there's a way to skip all the waiting and enjoy your pasta now?
I'm in.
Well, then you ought to try Limp Ones, the perfect serving of pre-cooked noodles sealed in a plastic bag full of enriched pasta whey. Got a hunger for some style? Reach for a Limp One, a floppy 6-inch noodle with the girth of a candy bar. And if you're feeling a little adventurous, Limp Ones now comes in a new flavor.
A new flavor.
Try new ranch stuffed limp ones. Your favorite pre-cooked noodle now comes filled with creamy ranch sauce. Limp one.
I don't know, dude. That's what do you? I'm not a big, sponsors are sponsors, right?
I mean, it's funny, limp ones and little chubs. We
could do better than this. Right?
We just need some more dough in here.
I don't even need dough. Like products. I mean, limp ones is dough, right?
Pretty much.
Is pasta a dough?
No.
Pasta dough? Is that a thing?
It's a grain. It's a processed grain.
Oh, but isn't that dough? Isn't flour a grain?
Different process. You got. Yeah, I don't know. I guess
I'm not a foodologist. Is that a real thing? Foodologist?
Sure.
Okay, we're not that.
Foodologists. If there's anyone out there, we'll eat it. You ologize it.
If it is not dough.
He's not a dough guy.
If it's not a dough. I'm not a dough
How about
guy.
dill flavored dough? You could call it dildo. What do you think?
I'm gonna pass.
No, Scott? Dill flavored dough. Thumbs up, baby.
Thumbs up from Scott.
That's
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
All right, now here's a question. If you're gonna actually have a sponsor, what would you actually want to sponsor you? Like for reals. What would you actually want?
I would think Copperfit.
Copperfit. Why Copperfit?
It just popped in there, man. Belts, I think would be good.
You need a good belt sponsor.
I need a good belt sponsor.
You like to hold up your trowels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pelican Brewing.
It's very specific.
And I like a good, because there's a lot of companies out there that have really shitty jump ropes.
Jump ropes.
Yeah, but I like
all those. I hear that all the time. They're like, you know what? There's just too many jump rope companies.
There are though,
and they don't take their product seriously.
Yeah, you go out there. I try to get a good jump rope. Either it breaks in the first day, or they're not.
You know what you need?
They're not fast enough.
You need to sneak onto an elementary school playground and get that one with the beads in it. That thing lasts forever.
Dude, that thing is indestructible.
They're still there.
Okay, we need
the ones you jump rope with.
Yeah.
When you were like 6.
They're still there.
They're still there.
No way.
Yeah, they're still there. You can go into any elementary school and in some back room that smells like gym teacher sweat. They're the only ones sweating in the school.
Yeah.
Because they're kids, right? Well, they're the only ones that stink when they do it. There's old jump ropes just hanging up back there.
So you're telling me you've got a bead on a beady jump rope?
Oh, you know what? I could
controlled by a beady-eyed.
I'll talk to my PE teacher and see if
guy.
he's got a beady jump rope.
Dude.
Right? He's got to have one.
So beady ropes, belts, Pelican, Brewing, Copperfit.
Those are the things that you would like to sponsor us. Very good.
Dodge. I don't know.
You just want a whole big
I'm just
truck.
thinking of all of these, the big companies or something.
You want... Okay, I don't...
How about, what do you got?
What do I got?
Yeah. What do you want to sponsor us?
I will take any beer company.
Any beer
doesn't
company.
have to be Pelican. I don't really care. You're too specific. I guess people are going to be like,
I would take any beer company too. I would take any.
Which one would you not take?
I wouldn't take. God, I can't think of one.
There's not a one he won't take. What about what about like hard alcohol? What if Papa Number 12 came along?
Yeah, definitely not that son of a bitch.
And he's like, I'm Conor McGregor.
Didn't he have a cease and desist? No, what was it? He had
I believe he got convicted of some sort of assault in England. I could be wrong. I don't know.
No, it was something with the product. Like it wasn't properly made.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah.
I know they dropped him. He's no longer associated
Maybe
with
that's what it was.
Yeah. But not them. because of the Conor McGregor. Like,
Yeah.
you
And
knew he
fuck
was.
Proper
You knew
12
he was.
anyways.
You knew he was a scum, anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not like, oh, he got convicted. Now he's a scum. He was a scum before.
You got to be a real dill flavored dough. And I know this is a lot of people, but to just buy a guy's liquor because he's the guy in the suit that fights good. Like, come on.
He walks stupid.
Yeah. He's a guy who walks around at 190 and is somehow a superhuman at cutting down weight to 130 and then bullies people around in a
So
ring.
are you going
Gets
to
paid.
watch the Logan Paul Conor McGregor fight?
No. I don't watch anything that the Pauls do. All these people.
Did you
that
watch
wanna
the
s-
Mike Tyson one?
I did not. On
You're like
purpose.
a pop culture void, dude.
No, I knew it was happening. but
Everyone
I
in the
didn't
entire
fucking-
world watched it.
That's because
The
they're
entire
stupid.
world. I watched it.
Then you're stupid.
Well, I
All
think you're
these people
stupid.
want to see Jake. People want. They're like, they want to see. He's the heel. He's real original stuff, Jake. And everybody watches it because they're like, well, I want to see him get his ass. I want to see him get knocked out. You want to knock out the hardest punch you could deliver, Jake Paul, is not watching his shit. That's the hardest punch you can give that piece of shit. Is if you never watch this stuff again.
That's
Boom.
nice. That's like being like, you know what? If we just voted for a nice person, the country would work out really.
That's
Like,
not the
it's-
same thing.
You're just doing pipe dreams. You're
Or
just
let
doing
me
pipe
fight
dreams.
him. I'll hit him hard.
Anyways,
Let me
we would
fight
like
him.
to be
I wanna
sponsored
by
by
a company that lets
Conor
me fight Jake
McGregor
Paul.
and Logan Paul. We want to be sponsored by them. And
God.
if they were sponsored, if
Jesus
they were our
Christ.
sponsors, are like, hey, dude, here's $10,000, and no, you can't hit either of them. Would you do it?
For 10 grand to not hit them? Wait.
They're not paying you 10 grand, and they're sponsoring you,
Oh,
and you're just not allowed to hit them. Which you are actually not allowed to hit them, Nick. You can't
legally,
hit
no,
them.
you're right.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Yeah, I would take 10 grand, sure.
This guy. But
Oh,
he
you
won't.
trapped
But he won't watch their fight.
Fuck.
Get out of here.
Fuck no.
Well,
I'm not paying their bills.
you have to. But if they paid you $10,000 and
That's
put their
different.
ad on, you are then paying their bills. So you would.
Oh, that's true. It
Pay
would be-
their
but
bills
what
in
would-
some way.
What would their product be?
You. You're,
No, but
the-
what's
you're their little
product?
product.
They're sponsored.
They're going to change your name to Proper Number 13.
Oh God.
This is Jacy Morris and my co-host Proper Number 13.
Oh God, I'm gonna throw up.
Proper Number 13.
Can you please do that again?
No, I'm not gonna.
God damn it.
You know how it is. Once I do something, I don't repeat myself. All right. So sponsors get back to us. We need some cash. I need another zombie to put up here. I only got my one. So right now, since it's our New Year's Eve episode, we should do a little reflection. Reflection's important, right?
Yeah.
For the end of the year to see where you came from. So I'm going to reflect on my successes, not my failures, because failures are for other people and not me. I'm basically all I got is successes.
Wow.
Just kidding.
That's
Just
pretty
kidding.
lucky. I am the one with the ego.
Okay. So let's see. What did I do this year? The number one thing I like to celebrate is sort of getting another book published by someone that's besides me, right? So kind of stepping into the realm of traditional publishing is a huge step for me as a writer. And it's with my favorite press, Tenebris. Even when I talk to Matt from the press, he's like, say it however you want to. But Tenebris Press is like,
Oh,
to me-
it's just one Tenebris.
Yeah.
I thought you were casting a spell for a second there.
Hey, if the spell gets me published in that press, I'm down.
Right.
But they're my favorite indie press. They're like, they do the best work. I love the way they do their products, and they've treated me very, very, very well as an author. Like, it's very collaborative, which I like. They're interested in, do you like this? Do you like that? So that's a huge success. I think that's the thing I'm most proud of. I landed an agent. And for those of you that have never had an agent, it's kind of a weird process where you're like, everything just moves slower in the traditional publishing world, right? Back in the day when I wasn't doing this, I was like, hey, I'm done with this book. Let me just get it covered. And, 2 weeks later, I'm putting it out.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like I gave this guy a manuscript in June. He's like, let me shop it around. Like, let me read it and do all this. And I'm still waiting on it, right? But it's cool. It's like, it's that stepping stone from one place to the next.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. In the meantime, all my stuff that I self-published before I had the agent, I can still just throw out there. But anytime I have a manuscript, he's like, well, give it to me. I don't just throw it out there like you do. So I wrote 3 This Rotten World books, 8, 9, and 10. I wrote 2 One Night Stand books, 5 and 6, and I actually wrote number 7. It's not going to be done by then this year, so I don't count it for this year.
Yeah.
I count it when it's published. I put out a collection of stories, which I'm going to read one of those pieces from that story from that collection coming up here in a bit. And what else? I'm half-time at teaching again, which is, money's tight. I need some of that proper number sponsor. But I'm making enough for my writing to be able to do that. Like a lot of people still have to work full-time jobs. I'm still half-time, which is cool, right? It's like being halfway to your dream and what you realize of like, I love to write. I just want to sit around and write. So I'm like halfway there. I made a lot of fans. I've met a lot of writers. And it's been pretty great. So I think I've had a very good year.
Yeah.
Minus the weird December.
I'd say that's a
stuff.
plus.
You think that's a plus?
Those are great stories.
Christmas
man.
card.
Great stories
from strangers.
I mean, you're a story craftsman.
Yeah.
You just got handed 2 pretty awesome
that
stories.
Is, I mean, it is like, oh, you're gonna do that to this guy?
Yeah.
Like that's a story, right? Even the prank phone call, I'm toying with the story for that one too.
Yeah.
I just didn't have it for when we were recording the podcast. So yeah, so that's my year. I mean, it's all looking up for me. I've had a great time with my friends, my family. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what next year holds as well. What about you? Give me your year in review. What are your celebrations?
So I've got all my limbs. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I like having that, and I beat up a couple of meth heads at work, and I didn't get in trouble for it. I actually got a raise, so that was cool.
Is this a practice of yours to beat up meth heads?
Well, I don't even know if they were regular meth heads, but meth was found on them by the cops when they were arrested. So, yeah.
So you weren't like a detective who's like, I smell meth, and you go over and
No. Okay. I went over and beat them up because they were really aggressive, and they threatened to beat everyone else up in the thing. So yeah, that's more of a common practice for me. I can't help myself. But so that was fun, and let's see what else. Have a new lineup for our band. It's a 3-piece.
And what is the name of your band?
Thanks a lot, asshole. For some reason, I just can't come up. I'm a bad band namer. Terrible at it, apparently. I feel like I've come up with some good ones. Band doesn't seem to agree. They come up with them. I veto a lot of their stuff. So it's just like this kind of, and you got to have a democratic process here. But regardless of it, so right now, Smug is our placeholder right now. We have like
throw a mutt on it.
4 videos.
Smugma.
Smugma. Jesus.
Do it, dude.
Yo, we're Sigmas, bro, and our band's Smugma. And that name worked for a different kind of band style. It worked pretty good, but I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, send them our way, please. But the band's fun. Love the guys I'm playing with. They're just super cool group of dudes. We got this new drummer, Tom, who's becoming a fast friend and an even faster drummer. No, but yeah, it's good stuff. Excited with the sticks.
The one with the sticks,
yeah,
right?
with the sticks. He's the guy that beats this shit, And yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get more of the One Night Stand series narrated and done for for Audible. That's going to be fantastic. And I'm excited to read up to the ones that you have finished. Let's see what else. I'm pretty close to winning the lottery, so I'm going to own a couple bars pretty soon. So that's going well. And I left a shitty job this year, which feels really nice.
Mm.
That's always a little bit stressful, but You always find something better. You always do.
I mean, it's like, it's stressful. Like, the problem is it's stressful all the time when you're at the job,
Right.
right? And then when you leave the job, yes, it's stressful where you're like, oh, I'm out of a job now.
Yeah.
I feel stress.
Mhm.
But it's less than when you had to keep going in there every day,
Yep.
right? Except for the money and the bills. It's like, as long as you can carry that for a bit, it's actually less stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been I guess the most, it's kind of parallel to what you were saying, is that it's been a very creative year. It's been like kind of like there's going to be a lot of momentum, I think, that's going to be released and continued and perpetuated through the next year and on. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to read a story from my collection, since it's one of the best things I did this year, this collection, and I think the story is just really cool and people will like it. And then after that
They better
story,
fucking like it.
they better like it. After that, we're going to come back and talk about what we got planned for the future.
Beautiful.
So this is my book, Bury My Heart with a Keyboard. It's a collection of novellas and short stories. I'm going to read probably my favorite story from the collection. It's pretty good. I put the first one up front. It's the first one and my favorite one, and that's why I put it there. So this is called Whatever Dies Stays. The shovel rested against the staircase, the blade gleaming, apart from one spot where a stubborn clod of dirt had bonded to it. Normally, Jason wouldn't have brought the shovel inside. He tried to keep a physically clean house, as there was no hope of him ever having a spiritually clean one. But today was a different day, a day when he could stop caring. It felt good to let it all go, to deny the routines he clung to, insidious addictions forcing him to keep himself alive and healthy. A part of him worried someone would show up, find him living in his own squalor and filth, but no one he knew would show up. He was the last one alive. He sighed, exhaling the weight of the world and its expectations. The evening sun shone through the curtains, orange and warm. The sunset could be my last one. Jason relished the daytime, relished the quiet in the house. At night, things were different. He opened the front door and stepped out onto the porch. The railing was new, white, hand-painted by himself. He didn't know why he bothered. No one else would have. Hell, no one would have bought the house in the first place, not with its morbid history. But that was a nighttime thought. It was day now, his last one on Earth. Maybe. On the porch, he eased himself into a rocking chair, pulled a rectangular package from his pocket, and slapped it on his wrist a few times. He opened it as a child opens a Christmas present, relishing the tearing of the cellophane, the plucking of the foil. He eyed the cotton filters. With grit-stained fingernails, he plucked a cigarette from the package on the verge of giddiness. His wife, Patty, had made him give them up years ago. Said he'd have a stroke, and then she'd have to wheel him around in a wheelchair and wipe his ass for him, and she wasn't going to do it. So he'd given them up for her. Given up lots for her. He wasn't bitter about it, but if he knew now what he knew then, he would have smoked the whole time. Maybe then he wouldn't have had to watch her wither away to nothing. No negative thoughts. Not today. He lit the cigarette with a match, had plenty of those around, as at night he would only partially rely on the house's electricity. A woman walked by the house pushing a stroller, and he nodded at her, smiling and waving. Nothing could ruin this day. Through a cloud of smoke, he watched the sun descend, setting into the west, the orange light bathing his face in its radiance. When the gloom of twilight overtook him, he moved inside. The summer had been bad for mosquitoes, and despite all the homespun remedies his wife had taught him over the years, he found the best way to avoid being eaten alive was to flee inside when the sun disappeared. A pall of quiet clung to the walls. It would only last so long. He headed to the kitchen and readied his candles, replacing the stubs with fresh ones. He had candles scattered about the house, and his pockets always bulged with matchbooks. He didn't even try the lights. The harsh glow of light bulbs seemed to make them angry, and he didn't want anything to ruin his plans. He flipped open the lid of a cardboard box, exposing a dozen painfully sweet pastries, cream-filled and iced to within an inch of being more frosting than donut. He plucked out a chocolate eclair, stuffed it in his mouth, and chewed. The sweetness hurt his teeth. He hadn't been to the dentist in a while, not since Patty died. Didn't see the point of it. Teeth were for others. There was no one here to care what his teeth looked like, whether his smile was yellow or white. The bruised world outside darkened, and he lit his candles, breathing in the acrid stench of sulfur and reveling in it. Can the dead smell? From the cupboard he pulled a tumbler, fished in the icebox for a handful of cubes. He unscrewed the top of a bottle, dumped the potent contents in, swirled it around so the ice cubes tinkled like the wind chimes Patty had loved. He took a sip. The shit was bad for the heart, but that didn't matter anymore either. Hell, it might be easier if his heart did explode tonight. He took another sip, savored the burn. All the good stuff hurts. He took his drink to the kitchen table, sat down, and flipped open a photo album. She was there, looking back at him, healthy, her eyes glowing. He was there too, brown-skinned, full head of hair, less of a gut and more of a paunch. They were happy then. He hoped Patty was happy wherever she was. A great sigh escaped his lips. From the foyer he heard another sigh, wondered which one it was. There were several options. He flipped the page, watching his life flip by. Him and Patty, Patty and him, no one else. They had been each other's worlds. They didn't need anything else. But then along came Marzipan, and suddenly there were less pictures of them and more of their orange cat, fluffy and pillow-like because Patty couldn't stop feeding the guy. To be honest, neither could he. When Patty died from the cancer, Marzi had comforted him like no one else. Then Marzi had gotten sick. Nothing to do about it. That's just what happened to cats when they got older. A shape walked by in the hallway, growling, its cold blue feet slapping against the wooden floors. Jason looked up once just to make sure it was one he recognized and not something new. The little girl. She was going upstairs, just like always. Somehow she always started downstairs, a scratched record, the needle stuck in a groove. He tried not to pay attention to the history of the Holgate house, but the realtor who had sold him the place had insisted on transparency, almost seemed to revel in it. No one understood why he wanted to buy the place. Before he'd come along, most people assumed the house would be torn down. Some bank would buy it, smooth over the history of the place with wrecking balls and bulldozers. The town knew about the Holgate house. Everyone knew about it, though few people believed it. The house had sat on the market for almost a decade, collecting dust and falling into disrepair, until Jason came along carrying a cat who was dying of cancer under his arm. Despite his prognosis, Marzi remained upbeat and happy, even as he learned a new house. He liked the backyard the best, never strayed too far. A bang came from the hallway, loud and violent. Jason jumped as he always did. How could you not? Wasn't no way to get used to something that shouldn't be making sounds in the first place. Ronnie Holgate stomped through the house, pushing open doors with his hollow hands, banging them against the rubber stops Jason had installed after he'd plastered over the holes created by the doorknobs. The ghost poked his head in the kitchen doorway, sneered at Jason, sitting at the kitchen table. He growled, his teeth pulled back from those ghostly choppers, and then he rushed at Jason. He'd seen it all before. Just as Ronnie reached him, he vanished in a puff of smoke. Jason breathed outward, his breath coalescing in the frigid air. The candle flames wavered on the table but stayed lit even as Jason reached for a book of matches from his pocket. Didn't matter how many times it happened, he always expected Ronnie Holgate to crash into him and knock him to the ground. One time he wouldn't be a puff of smoke, but cold hard flesh. Another thing he didn't need to worry about any longer. Upstairs, ghostly boots clomped across the floors. He took a sip of whiskey from the tumbler. Not too much longer now. In the corner of his eye, the wife appeared, Marnie Holgate, complete with flour-stained apron. He puttered around at the stove as if something was actually cooking on it. Jason hadn't used the stove in a long time, figured it belonged to Marnie, the way the stove at his old house had belonged to Patty. A scream upstairs. Though no one standing outside the house could hear it, inside the house it set his teeth on edge. It sent a man running to help or to hide. The house's walls prevented the noise and the violence from escaping to the outside world. A house was an absorbent thing. Energies were like that. His wife had taught him this. Fill a place with smiles and happiness, and that feeling can seep into the walls like cigarette smoke. Only difference was you could paint over nicotine-stained walls. The type of energy that had been unleashed in this house wasn't anything you could cover up. Maybe someday Miller would make a paint that could paint over spiritual energy, but that day would come long after he was gone. Marnie heard the scream, dropped an invisible pan of something on the floor. It landed with an audible clang, though he couldn't see the pan or its contents. Jason liked to think it was something simple, something that wouldn't have taken up too much of her last moments. Maybe eggs, something like that. She rushed from the room as Jason took another sip of bourbon. He knew the rest of the tale, had read their police reports, heard the whispers from his neighbors. He'd watched it all go down a few times, tried to figure out if this was the place he wanted to be. When Marzi was still alive, he'd cling to Jason during these hours. In Jason's head, he thought of this part of the evening as bang time. All sorts of bangs going on upstairs. Doors, knees on hardwood floors, fists on skin. Screams were a sort of bang too. It set your heart racing just like a shotgun blast. Jason flipped the page in the photo album. There'd be plenty of time for what was going on upstairs. Today he was downstairs, looking at pictures of his wife, his cat, both. He wished Patty could be here with him, even though she had been all sorts of non-traditional spiritual, crystals, tarot card spells. In the end, she went the way of her parents. Burial in a cemetery, the same one as her parents, though in a different corner. That's the way cemetery plots went. Get them while they're hot, or else you'll be across the yard. He didn't blame her for it. Lots of fear to be had when one is staring down the barrel of the end. All sorts of doubts and musings about the afterlife crept in. For Patty, she'd become a believer in her last days. Wanted to be buried like her parents had. Millions of people couldn't be wrong, could they? Hundreds of millions? A billion? Jason didn't know. All he knew was that what he could see and what he saw in this place, well, it had given him some ideas. Upstairs, the sound of the shotgun went off. One bang. The daughter. He took another sip, pulled his lips back from his teeth in a pained smile. Two. The mother. He flipped the page, him and Patty in their wedding get-ups, back when all their friends had still been alive, and before the loving couple figured out they couldn't have kids, had been forced to settle for pets instead. There had been cats before Marzi, but none like him. Kind as a kiss, Marzi loved his people more than any pet he'd ever shared his life with. Some people claimed dogs were more loyal, loving pets, and Jason guessed they were for the most part, but he'd take the best cat over the best dog, and Marzi was the best. In the end, when hospice had come in and hooked up Patty's wasted body to tubes in preparation for the end, Marzi had stayed by her side, his tail curled around her, his cheek pressed to Patty's. Marzi knew what time it was, wasn't no doubt, and while Jason felt as sad as he'd ever felt in his life, he swore the cat felt it more. He moved houses more for the cat than for himself. Couldn't stand looking in their bedroom and seeing old Marzi curled up on the bed where Patty had slept. He thought the change of scenery had done them both good, even with the goings-ons. The sobbing began, and for once Jason joined in, reveling in the sadness of lost life. Only difference was, unlike Ronnie Holgate, he hadn't killed his people. Marzi had passed away in his lap in the middle of the day. He was glad of that. He knew the specters in the night scared him with their loud noises. But it was all for the best, all for the energy. The house had been infused with something awful. The spirits of those cut short had been splattered against the walls, and then the coup de grace. The third bang. There it was, old Ronnie Holgate, overcome with his rage and sadness, turned the shotgun upon himself, put it up under his chin like a camp counselor telling ghost stories with a flashlight. He launched his brains through the top of his head and sent his soul crashing into the ceiling along with him. Now he was part of the house. The house was paid in full, in more ways than one. He got a hell of a deal on the place, because no one wanted to buy the fucking thing. He bought it in cash with the money from selling his old house and made plans with his accountant to keep the house unlived in for a while. Told him he was going on vacation to see the world. The accountant had all the money he'd need to pay the property taxes even after he was gone. Wasn't no one to leave his money to, and damn it, he didn't know how any of this worked. Just theories, really. But he thought maybe a house needed to be left alone for a while for it to take. It was like a stain on a shirt. Throw it in the wash immediately and you got a chance to get it out. Throw it in the hamper and let it sit for a while, and the fucking thing is done for. Just in case time was the key, he'd provided for such. At the end of 10 years, we'd put up for sale when the money ran out. Someone else would buy it. By then it'd be a nice fixer-upper, a good starter project for someone who needed the equity. They wouldn't stay long, not with the Holgates running about, but equity was king. Get out what you spent plus more when you decided to move. He just hoped no one else had an idea like he had. Didn't want the place to get too crowded. When Patty died, his head had cleared, sort of. Marzi kept him on his toes, kept him going down to the store, kept him showering and taking care of himself. Though he never seemed to mind how filthy Jason got. He knew how sensitive his little nose was. It had to smell nice and be presentable for him. He'd started thinking about the afterlife. I read a story in the paper about the anniversary of the Holgate massacre, and his wheels had started turning. Now he was here, listening to the sobs of Ronnie Holgate as he floated through the house, his blue bare toes trailing 3 inches off the wooden floors, his arms slack, black blood dripping from the gruesome hole in the top of his head. Marnie was there as well, her apron painted with the red stuff. On her knees, smearing invisible blood around the floor with a sponge. The kid would be upstairs, rocking back and forth in midair on a small rocking horse only she could see. Most people would have fled, but him and Marzi weren't most people. Marzi's a fucking cat. He smiled and drained the last of his bourbon. The Holgate's sobbing would continue for hours until midnight, when they would fade away and content themselves with causing chaos around the house, knocking over dishes, making the tap strip, slamming doors. That shit didn't bother him. Comforted him, really. Made him feel like maybe his plan was going to work after all. It was about time, so he poured himself another bourbon, threw in another couple of pieces of ice. Before he went out back, he stuffed a cruller in his mouth, squeezing all the air out with his jaw and compressing it into one sweet ball of dough. He chewed with his mouth open. It seemed the closer he got to the end, the more like a kid he became. It blossomed in his chest now, pushing the sadness out like an unwanted guest. Hope. Out back, the darkness of his secluded yard spread away into shadows. As he closed the door, the incessant wailing of the Holgates disappeared completely, and he worried once more that his plan wouldn't work, that the yard wasn't technically a part of the house. But a house wasn't a vault. Couldn't block all the energy contained within. Had to seep out, right? His theory ran through his head once more in the gloom. The ice cubes tinkled against the glass as he tipped it back once more. Whatever dies, stays. In the dark, he moved to a shadow on the ground, 4 feet wide, 6 feet long, 6 feet deep. His blistered hands proved he'd dug it himself. He lowered himself inside, stood looking up out of the hole at the moon above. A full moon. Patty would have been proud. He closed his eyes, ignored the thought he might be crazy and that nothing in the house was real and had all been in his head the whole time. He wrinkled his brow and concentrated on the night. It was quiet now. The crickets, bewitched by the moon, held their chirps, kept their legs frozen in place as they too appreciated the cosmic eye above. Jason's ears opened wider, and he allowed his senses to fill his mind. The wind soft and rustling as it flowed through the treetops, the furtive sound of something moving through the grass. He smiled, knew that sound. Marzi. He lay down in the bottom of his grave, wrapped the end of a rope around his forearm. Not too much longer, sweet one. From the earthy hole, he tugged on the rope. A contraption above, metal and hanging, dumped 144 cubic feet of dirt onto Jason, and before he could change his mind, he was suffocating. His body strained against the earth, fought for life despite the wishes of his brain and his heart. It was a while before the struggling stopped. A while still before he grew cold. A while longer before he could leave his tomb. When he did, the moon was absent, and he stood on a patch of bare earth, showing the first signs of green growth. He felt something brushing against his ankle, followed by a soft, ghostly purring. When he looked down, tears came to his eyes. And that was Whatever Dies Stays.
Follow me to the sunshine streets, open little ears and brains. A recipe of fresh bloody trees. Right here's where you jump the train.
What'd you like about it?
I liked how every time I was thinking about the cat, I was thinking of your cat.
Yeah.
Which was
Even though
just
it's totally
cute.
different color.
Oh, completely different
Yeah.
color and completely
It's a she.
different body and
Yeah.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah.
So if you like that one, Bury My Heart with a Keyboard. Lots of other cool stories in there.
There are. I've read a
Um,
few.
Yeah. So we're getting a little long in the episode here. Let's go to our last little bit here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about plans for the upcoming year. What are some hopes and dreams that you have for the upcoming year?
I'd like to play a lot, meaning with the band. I'd like to
Not in like on a playground structure.
whatever brings the fame, whatever brings the folks.
You like to spin the pirate wheel?
Hey, I'm more of like a first mate, a right hand man kind of guy.
You just
You
like
know,
just stand there.
I'll do the dirty
I'll be
work.
like-
I'll let the captain, spin the wheel and do all that stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, play a lot, play out a lot, sneak in more originals to the stuff, get more content online because you have to do that these days. You build up the old presence there. I'd like to get more gigs, some more acting gigs. It'd be fun. Knock these audiobooks out of the park. Let's see. Continuously improve my chops on the guitar. That's always a frustrating and sometimes rewarding, but mostly infuriating endeavor.
Who's your favorite guitarist?
Ooh.
Just for the people out there.
Can I pick two?
Yeah, but then they're not really your favorite.
That's true. I'll
And
pick
you're-
one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, it is. I'm just gonna have to say. Let's just say Prince. That's an easy one.
Okay. There you
Yeah.
go. Who would number 2 be?
Probably Kim Thale from Soundgarden.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know if I pronounce his name correctly, which is sad because I'm Lebanese. He's Lebanese, Lebanese name, but Kim Thale. Anyways, yeah, he knows who I'm talking about because he's watching this podcast right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a big zombie fan.
Yeah.
Anything else, or is that?
Oh yeah, win the lottery, buy a few bars. Squeeze in a couple of weird brawls here and there with some people that deserve it, or at least I think they do.
Justice.
Justice
Is one of your goals.
Always a good, yeah. That's
Okay.
a good goal.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to have justice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a fair guy. Fair.
Definitely fair.
I won't say balanced.
Okay.
How about you? What do you got going, man?
Well,
I mean, you got a lot going, but
I got
you
a
want some
lot
more
going on. I mean, do I? I don't know. I don't know if I can handle more going.
Yeah,
Well, like this podcast to take off, like people to watch it,
yeah,
like it,
That'd be
subscribe to it, do all sorts of things,
yeah. Absolutely.
legal things.
I'm gonna do that.
Uh,
I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna subscribe it to it.
I'm gonna subscribe on it, in it.
And here's something you might you got here's a little taste of what you might get. Have you ever had a Wrangler on your Wrangler? You know, you could get that just by clicking a simple
It's dulcet,
button.
dulcet.
What?
It's the dulcet tones of Nick. That's a dulcet croon.
That's a great word.
You don't know that word?
No, I do. It's just
You know,
great.
okay, all right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean, I like that. I got a couple books scheduled to come out this year. I've got We Like It Cherry from Tenebris Press. However you say it.
I think that was the second time was right.
Big old T Press.
Big old T's.
Big old T Press.
Hey man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like that to do well. I'd like people to check that out. Getting some blurbs from people on it right now. You know how blurbs work?
Why don't you explain it to all of us?
All right. So before I ever got published, I was like, actually, my first book I got published, it wasn't by me. They were like, so you got any blurbs for us? I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no one told me. No one's like, yo, you got to go ask other authors for blurbs.
Yeah.
Right. I was just like,
You're like, no, I take antacid for that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a real thing. Okay.
I don't have the blurbs.
Right.
So apparently you're supposed to like go out here and like contact other writers and be like, hey, could you like read my book for someone you don't know? I'm not like friends with a bunch of writers, you know.
Yeah.
I've made some over the years, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not in it. Like there are some writers that are in it just to be like, yo, I'm friends with this person, I'm friends with that person. They don't actually write anything. Like I'm in writing for writing.
You're saying writing, right? Not writing.
Yeah. Like
Okay,
Peyton.
Good.
Like Peyton Manning.
Right.
Not Peyton.
Yeah. Peyton.
It's Peyton.
Peyton.
Yeah. So writing.
Right. I knew you were talking about writing earlier, but then when you were talking about all these friends, I'm like, maybe. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, so I'm not, you know, I don't have all these connections or anything. So I have to go out and be like, yo, successful writer, would you like to, because like blurbs from like, you know, someone that just has like one book and like they're not very well known are basically worthless, right? You got to get the biggest names possible.
As a human, they're worthless even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Full-blown piece of shit.
The value of blurbs is debatable at all, but they want the big names. So I was like, so that was a learning experience. So I'm getting some blurbs for it now. I reached out to some people. People were like, yeah, cool, I'll do it. So that's nice. And then I've got another book in November. I can't remember the exact date coming out called One Shot from Torrid Waters. So I have 2 books coming out that I'm hoping to do really successful. I'm hoping my agent sells this one book that I've got that like I'm just dying to get out there because it's such a cool concept that I can't even talk about it. You know,
Hell yeah.
You're just like, agent's like, hey, don't talk about it. You know, keep it under wraps. So hopefully that sells. And then I've got, you know, more stories I'm doing. I mean, I've written number 7 of One Night Stand. So it's up to 7 books now. And I'm thinking, 8, 9, 10? It's ending at 10. So if I really bust my hump, I might end that series by the end of next year.
Awesome.
And the ending's going to be amazing. I'm also coming to an end point in This Rotten World. Book number 11 is the end of this current batch of survivors. We don't know who's going to live, who's going to die, but I'm planning on writing that. And
That's great.
so, I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 books coming next year for sure. I've got 4 that are done that I'm just like, yo, agent, get those, sell those out, right?
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen with that? But I got my fingers crossed. So that's my hopes for next year.
Hell yeah.
So lots of cool stuff happening. And then we got this
Absolutely.
podcast and we're hanging out with you and Scott, who's, he does things.
He does. He does.
Yeah, he does a lot of things. So yeah, what do you think? Pretty exciting times, right?
It really is.
We're-
I mean, the only thing missing out of there was like a bunch of videos of you like boxing and doing jujitsu stuff.
Oh,
I see that a lot.
What if I, like-
Because if you don't do that, how do you expect to get any followers?
well,
Apparently
I should
that's-
probably just like start recording myself working out in a gym. 'Cause that seems
There you
like
go.
probably a great way to
Yeah.
sell books.
And then just tell people, how they should do that stuff.
Yeah, and tell them that what I'm doing is the best, and you
Mhm.
need to do that.
Right.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like a plan. I'll work that in
You
there.
got it all tied up.
I'm too busy. I'm not too busy for that.
No, fuck no.
I'm definitely.
You're never too busy.
What am
for
I
that.
doing?
You're
What am
never
I
too
doing?
busy for boxing vids.
All right. So we're gonna wrap out this year pretty good. Who knows when you're gonna see this, dear viewers, all 4 of my fans. 5.
Yeah,
We probably got 5. Well,
Well, you're
probably
if you count me, I'm
Okay.
a pretty big fan.
We'll go with 5 then. All right. So let's go into our year's best. So we are not experts on anything, but we dabble in a little bit of everything. And I have some cool stuff I just want to talk about. Hopefully you got some cool stuff you want to talk about. So let's celebrate things. If you don't know these things, you should check them out. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So year's best. Year's best music. What is your best music for 2024? Could be something from this year, something that's new to you. What did you find out there?
So I was over at where was I? And where the hell was I? I was at my drummer's new place. He just got a new place. And
Max's pad?
no I see what you
Oh,
did there.
Tom's pad.
Tom's pad.
Okay.
Yeah. Tom's flat. He's from the UK, so
Oh, it's a
he would
flat.
call it
Okay.
a flat. And we were, having like a strategy meeting, what we're gonna do in the next year, how what we're gonna post, talking about band names, and
Chocolate Mousse. Moose.
you're the one that told me. You're the motherfucker that told me you don't like animals in band names, and here you are.
But I know you like it, so I throwing it.
So that was
out
for
there.
me.
That was for you.
Does
All
this,
right, so
wrench,
you're over
does this
there-
wrench come off?
My mic stand. So you're over there hanging out, and you
Yeah.
found
And-
something.
We're feeling pretty groovy, and he puts on this song. He's like, "Have you ever heard Jocko Gardner?"
Mm-mm.
And I say, "No." And he puts on this song called Lavania, and it is just, it's just instrumental, and it's the trippiest, goofiest, sugariest, just kind of like brain massage, fun ditty. And for some reason, it just stuck in my head like a rusty knife.
Okay.
Good luck getting a rusty knife out of your head. It's a good tune, man. Jocko, he's got a lot of good stuff. And usually, it's not that I don't like this stuff. I like it here and there, but usually I wouldn't pick that for like a best thing. Usually it'd be like some kind of, I don't know. I've always been into bands and try to learn stuff from the guitarists and all this stuff, and I'm into how a band like creates their stuff.
Mhm.
This guy though, good stuff.
Cool.
How about you? Any musical stuff that you like?
Yeah.
this year.
I'm always into punk rock. I'm always
Mhm.
like, look at this new thing I found. Every time you come over, I'm like, Nick, check this out. One of the ones I found was Drunk Mums. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Like they sing that song, New Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they just got like a good. It's like if you cross the Ramones with someone
Yeah.
from Australia.
You played it. We went back to it a couple
Yeah,
times. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Like a lot of cool videos. It's just good punk rock. Australia's really pumping out cool punk rock bands. I'm like, wish America could make punk rock bands like that these days. Like it's just like,
Mm-hmm. Well, there's Machine Gun Kelly.
is he Australia? Australia wouldn't stand for Machine Gun Kelly. I should throw that.
No
out
one
there.
should.
Yeah, no one should. No ovations. But Drunk Mums, they're kind of like this wave of punk bands coming out of Australia, like the Chats. You know the Chats, right?
Maybe.
Smoko. Remember they got the mullet and
If I saw it.
yeah. If you saw it,
If it was among the
Amel
yeah.
and the Sniffers. Do you remember him?
No. But
Remember
that's
the one
amazing.
with the
See,
dude
these
from-
people can come up with names.
The dude from The Walking Dead was in it, and he's dancing with the girl.
Oh yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
It's just a group. They have
That's
actually
cool. That's actually a cool band.
They have actually lots of good songs. Yeah. So there's like
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
a
of
good
cool
one.
punk bands coming from Australia. So that was my pick. Drunk Mums. I think their album's called Beer Baby, and like on the cover, it's like a keg and a stroller. Fantastic.
You can't beat
It's speaking my language.
that.
It's Juliet and the
Which is
Wicks
another
style.
good song.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. All right, so let's talk about movies. What's your favorite movie of the year? And I know you don't watch a ton of movies,
I don't.
right?
I mean, over the years I have, but lately, yeah, kind of just, you know, I went with Dune 2 because it's one of the few movies that came out this year that I watched. Okay. But I thought it was fantastic. I saw both, you know, obviously I saw, well, it's not obvious. I saw the first one in the theater and very picturesque. The music was the right mood, but maybe a little bit overbearing at times for the senses. And then it just drug on a bit, I guess.
You're talking about the first one.
I was still pretty entertained by the first one, but Dune 2 was just fantastic the whole time. A lot of good action.
The pace was much faster.
The pace was faster, and seeing some of the reconnections of the characters, and yeah, it was good stuff.
Cool.
Some of the resolutions also of some of the characters,
Mhm.
really sweet.
Yeah.
And what's his name? I always forget his name. The guy that played the Harkonnen, like
Stellan Skarsgård.
yeah.
Yeah. The main one.
Yeah.
The Baron.
Oh no, him, but his like nephew.
The big dude.
The big dude was the
Bautista.
Baron. He was well, no, yeah. So the Baron was fantastic. I love him and everything.
Yeah.
But the nephew, the like,
Bautista. Wasn't he the guy?
no, the bald dude in the arena. That he's like the main kind of villain that they focus on in a way.
Am I wrong? Scott, am I wrong? Isn't that
Is it Butler?
Yeah, it's Butler. Yeah,
Butler?
that guy.
The character's name is Butler or the actor's name is
the
Butler?
actor. He's who
The
fights
actor's
at the
name-
end.
Gerard
too.
Butler?
That's Elvis.
Yeah, the guy who played Elvis.
The guy who
Do you
played
remember the
Elvis.
movie? Do you remember the guy in the arena that fights? Well, the two drugged Atreides guys, and then the third guy isn't drugged,
Yeah.
and instead of
Are you gonna
feels
show-
like
Scott, are you gonna show me the pic? It's Robert Carlyle.
it's that. Yeah,
It's
you should
definitely-
know it's Robert
def-
Carlyle.
I know Robert Carlyle.
He looked a
Right.
lot better in the movie.
Scott's gonna bring it up for me here. Austin Butler. Oh, that is the guy that played Elvis.
Yeah,
Oh, he's a handsome lad.
yeah, the handsome lad.
Was he handsome in the movie? He was like all like ugly and alien looking, right?
If you like that sort of thing, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was.
He's brutally.
He did a good
brutally
job. Yeah,
handsome.
he was
Yeah.
creepy.
He was actually actually believe that
He's like a total psychopath. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic
Okay.
job.
Cool. All right.
How about
So-
you?
So for me, I'm pretty much a horror guy. Like I'll watch every horror movie.
Yeah.
There's a couple I haven't gotten to. I didn't watch the Crow remake. You know, because that just looks unbearable.
Yeah.
But Smile 2 I haven't watched yet, and Terrifier 3 I haven't watched yet.
Oh, I haven't seen Terrifier 3 either.
So I'm waiting on those. But I've seen most of the other horror movies this year. And my favorite of the bunch, the most fun. I look for fun in horror. I'm not trying to be scared because they don't scare me. I like humor because like the gore just doesn't really do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so much gore like in movies that it's like it's not like I don't get shocked by it anymore.
Yeah.
So I really look for story and character, and I thought Abigail was the best out of the bunch. So if you haven't seen Abigail, it's this group of like they're in a Reservoir Dogs situation where they don't know each other's names or whatever, and they kidnap this kid from this crime boss or whatever, and they're getting paid by someone to do it. And they get the kid back in, boom, it's a vampire, and the little kid just goes nuts.
Oh wow,
Right?
that sounds
And
awesome.
just starts messing with him, and it's funny. The characters are all, they're not like the deepest characters. They're all like underground characters, but each have their own little, character arc, their own little personal conflict that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it was just funny and well done, and it was just a good time. And the gore was cool. It wasn't like super overdone, and it just flowed real fast. Out of everything I've watched this year, it's probably the only one I've watched more than once.
That sounds great. Just the concept alone sounds awesome.
Oh, it's cool.
The
Yeah,
premise,
she's like in a little ballerina dress. She's running around and kicking their butts, and you're just like, it's
How did
really
I not
good,
see
dude.
the preview for that? That's
Oh,
crazy.
it's so good. It's so good. Yeah,
Cool.
So that's my favorite movie. Yeah.
Nice.
Now the next one, I don't know. You're such a busy guy. You're always busy. Like you're like, I'm over here. I'm doing this. I'm practicing my band. I'm doing this thing. So book is my next category. Do you have a favorite book from this year?
It was a toss up between 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
This girl I know who bartends, and she's kind of been like one of those friends that just comes in and out of your life. She's always been
Right.
like an avid reader.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started hanging out a little bit again, and she's like, "Hey, you got to check out this book. It's like super visceral and brutal, but like has like these really cool societal kind of commentary."
Yeah,
I wouldn't
saying
even- I
something.
wouldn't even
It's not
see
just about the
hidden
gore
in
and
it,
the
yeah.
story. It's about like, hey, I'm saying something.
Yeah. Tender is the Flesh.
Okay.
That was really awesome.
Do you remember the author? I know the name of it.
Yeah, I think she's South American. I can't remember exactly. Oh yeah, Scott can.
It's gonna bring it up for us.
Is she Colombian? I can't remember. I hope I'm not way off on that.
Agustina Bazterica.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of books, but there's so many of them, I can't get to them all. All right. So, what did you like? It's gory. It's got some commentary.
Oh, she's from Argentina. Yeah.
Argentina. Okay.
Yeah, it was just everything about it was very it was brutally honest. It made you think, and it actually there's some character twists, not exactly like plot twists, but just stuff where you're just like, I don't want to like
Like a character
give too
goes
many
the way you didn't
spoilers.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when that happens.
Oof.
Like when characters are like, yo, I thought I knew this person. And it's like who we are. Like you're like my best friend. Like I thought I knew who they were, and they did this to me.
Yeah.
Right? It happens, And
Yeah.
I like when characters do that. It's more realistic to me.
Yeah.
Then everyone's just like, I'm so bound by my own rules and personality in this author's mind that I will never do anything
Absolutely.
outside of it.
Yeah.
That's not real because we all get out of who we are in small doses, and sometimes those small doses can have big consequences.
Oh, they sure can.
Yeah.
And then it was either between those or One Night Stand in a Place with No Name and One Night Stand in the Waste. So A Place with No Name is book 4, Waste is book 2.
Mhm.
And I still, for some reason, book 2 is a little more, I don't know what the right word would be, explanatory. I don't know. Like it's a little bit slower and darker versus a lot of the other volumes. But for some reason, I really liked that one.
Mhm.
I think it's because it shows some of the pain and trauma of the main characters.
Certainly, yeah. Because he's like, in the first one, he's just like, oh, who's this weirdo?
Yeah.
Like, it's basically, who's this weirdo?
Yeah,
Oh, he
who's
does
this-
weird things.
Yeah.
Right? And then book 2, you kind of get some of that just brutal, dark backstory.
Yeah. And actually, some of the action in 2 is great.
Mhm.
So it's a toss up between those 3
Yeah.
this
nice.
year for me. Yeah.
Cool.
How
Well,
about you?
glad to be on your list.
Yeah, man, you're on it.
Nick, how many books did you read this year?
I read Tender at that. I read half of a fantasy book. I read a very short story, and then I read some of the keyboard So overall, maybe the equivalent of like 3.75 books.
Oh man, but I'm in the top 2 of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good odds, dude. All right.
Maybe 4. Maybe 4 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my book was Gabino Iglesias's House of Bone and Rain. It's a cool book. I almost brought it with me, but then I forgot. But if you haven't read it, read it. It's about this group of dudes in Puerto Rico who, like, one of their moms gets shot, and so they're like, "Yo, we're gonna take revenge," like them and all their friends, and it just goes poorly, right? It's just like these are just like they're not street kids, but they're not like rich kids or anything. They're just like the kids that like I was, you were, right? We didn't have money. We're like most of our time we just spent hanging around and probably doing things we shouldn't.
Moved around a lot and just
yeah.
had, our parents had to work all the time.
All the
so
time.
we just
Yeah.
did stuff around the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude. Got into trouble, so to speak.
So so they get into this stuff, they start messing with these drug dealers, these crime lords, and it just goes off the rails. And
Dude.
the writing is like it goes off the rails in the weirdest way possible and the most lovely weird way possible.
And what's it called?
House of Bone and Rain.
I actually that sounds really
It's cool.
interesting.
Like the
yeah.
ending is not what you expect, and I love that. It's like because I'm a writer, so like half the time I read a book, I'm like, oh, I know this where this is going, and I'm unsatisfied by that when that happens. Unless it's just super well written, and you're like, well, the journey was worth it. But a lot of times I'm really upset about it. But House of Bone and Rain did it. I didn't know where it was going. It gave me such cool vibes.
Awesome.
The description, I feel like I don't know much about Puerto Rico. I know it's like it's not a state, but it's part of the United States somehow, which is always weird. But it gave me some of that history and background, and it was nice to be immersed in that culture in that book, and feel the commonality of like, oh, I grew up just like this with these people. So it's really good. Yeah,
Awesome.
good violence, good gore, good characters. I like the brotherhood between all these. They don't really got much else. They got each other, right?
That's killer.
So cool stuff. Scott, how many books did you read this year?
I read 0 books.
Scott.
It's not that I can't read. It's that when there's too many words on a page, I don't see any of the words.
Yeah.
That would make it hard to read.
So again, I can read.
Right.
Okay? Just that sometimes when the page is filled with words, it looks like there's no words.
But you can read.
But yes, I am capable of reading.
Prove
Street
it.
signs.
Prove it. Street. Right. It's stop.
Yeah. Labels on food products.
Slippery when wet.
Exactly.
So you got to get the audiobooks done so he can enjoy.
See, this is
he needs it.
He does.
Did you listen to the first one, didn't you, or did you read the whole thing?
See, when there's too many words.
Right.
Scott, listening to audiobooks is reading.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's reading.
That counts as reading. Did you listen to audiobooks?
You're drinking the words.
I have not listened to it.
He hasn't even listened to it.
Also,
Okay.
What a
because
fucking-
because I can read, but because I don't read, I'm very busy with
Okay.
other things.
You know what
that
that's-
aren't reading.
You know what that's like? It's like going to the fair, and instead of like corn dogs and dipped things, it's just poop, but just shit logs, man.
I'll
Is
you
it
know
not
what you're
like
saying.
that?
I don't
It's
even
not
know.
like
I don't
that.
think it's like
That's
that.
something else. That's something else.
All right, let's go on to the best video games. Scott, did you play any video games?
I did.
Okay, he played video games.
Let's ask him. I want to hear what you play and what you like and
But what's your favorite? We're running out of time here. We got to go a little faster.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite? I
I
thought Zombies was pretty sick.
I
Zombies.
enjoyed the second Spider-Man game.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right. I forgot you played that.
It was pretty good. Get to play as Peter Parker a little.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Never played them.
They're actually really rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do the webs?
You do the webs, you do the kicks, you do the climbing, you do the swinging, you do the.
Do you fight Carnage?
Do you fight Carnage in those? Does he show up?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. God damn.
Oh,
I'll
my
just
bad.
go on to my
Okay.
favorite.
There we go. Scott's getting salty about it.
The Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erd Tree, was
Nerd tree.
was fucking. That's all I need to say. It's great. It's good.
It's good.
It's real good.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Don't be.
So mine is actually nerdier than yours. So mine is. I'm not saying yours is nerdy. Well, I guess I am. Mine is-
Nerdier than mine. Let's hear it. I can't wait.
It's called King Arthur Knight's Tale. Right.
What? There was okay.
And it's like
I'm playing that tonight.
Yeah, it's this cool game. You know how you play like Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day?
Yes.
It's like that, but your characters are actually people and they have their own skills and their own little stories. They're not like very deep, but it's a big game and it's got a lot of, I just love things that are like chess, but they're not chess.
And you can actually build up each person's like.
You
it's
build
like
up
very
their skill.
flexible.
They got skill
like you can
trees.
choose like what to do with those. Kind of like in tactics.
I can't remember specifically because I played it over the summer, but it was like I played it like all summer. I was like, cool, I'm doing every little thing in this.
Awesome.
Yeah. There are skill trees. Now I remember they have skills, and you can't pick them all, so you got to choose and pick which ones you want to do. So
Yeah.
I was like Lancelot, and I was like Sir Kay, and you play as Mordred, who's like going to kill
Oh.
like Ghost Arthur, who became like this twisted weirdo.
What?
And it's just a really cool game, and it's tactical, it's turn based, and you have based upon what choices you make, you can choose. I don't know what he's saying. Based upon the choices you make, you get certain characters. So it forces you to play through it a few times and just be a jerk or be religious or old faith. Type
That's
stuff.
killer.
Look at that skill tree.
Damn.
Okay. No, thanks to that. So that was
look
my
at
game.
that.
That's so many skills. Scott is showing us the Path of Exile 2 skill tree. I haven't played that. I'm not even sure what it is. Oh, action
It's kind of an
RPG.
inside joke too, because this one dickhead goes off about it on like Insta Talk on TikTube, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to your beer of the year. Beer, tiddly beer. What's your beer of the year?
Beer of the year.
Beer of the year. If you like, is it a root beer? You seem like a root beer guy. You're a Barks man.
I don't have a sweet tooth. I got
It has bite.
It does. It has a Barks. Let's give that puppy a little bite of Barks, bro. Like, I really liked Von Ebert's Volatile Substance. It's a 6.8% ABV IPA. The hops are right down the middle. You get your traditional, but it's crisp. It's got almost the mouthfeel, if you will, of a hazy. However, not hazy at all. Not a citrusy hazy blast. Straight down the pipe.
Straight down the pipe.
Fucking good IPA.
Okay.
Refreshing. Von Ebert, man. They're knocking it out of the park.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Volatile
Like that.
Substance.
That was a better answer than I was expecting. It's better than any of the other ones you gave. To be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Try more of that. We've been recording for hours, so I'm.
War. It's fantastic.
All right, so ask me about my beer of the year.
Right now? Should I go now?
When you feel like it.
What's your beer of the year?
You waited too long. I don't feel like doing it now.
Well, hey.
All right, now mine is Wayfinders. That's a Portland. Von
Oh,
Ebert's
yeah.
Portland too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got
Wayfinder's
the
good.
best beer in Portland. We're based in Portland, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
I kill zombies in Portland. I kill Portland itself. I drink beers from Portland.
It's a good formula.
So Wayfinder makes this beer called Terrifico.
Oh, I've never had it.
Italian Pilsner. Have you ever had an Italian Pilsner? Wasn't I telling you about this the other day?
I've had, is Peroni technically, or is that a lager?
It'll say
Or is
Italian
that an
Pilsner. on it.
ale.
I'm not sure.
I think I have had. I'm pretty sure when I was in Italy, I had some.
Maybe. They don't just drink wine there.
There's beers there,
Okay.
but who knows if that, you know,
Right.
Is it Peroni? I think that's their like national, like their main like
Oh, really?
light beer.
Okay.
And I can't remember if that's a Pilsner or
I
a
think
lager or
everyone
an ale.
in every country in Europe, like their main beer is always just like a Budweiser knockoff.
Yeah, it's like a standard.
Yeah, that's like the standard around
Yep.
the world. So I'm doubting it was actually an Italian Pilsner, because an Italian Pilsner is actually a little more complex than like those mainstream.
I wish you had
domestic-
a taste of it right now. That sounds
That's the
awesome.
problem. It's seasonal.
Shit.
It's seasonal. Like, and I didn't know it, right? And I was just like knocking them back. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be drinking this the rest of my life, mister. And then,
Who were you talking to at the time?
well, you know, when you start knocking them back, you just say all
Just
sorts
anybody's
of things. Like,
mister
just
to you.
me, like in the mirror, like,
could've
oh
been
yeah,
him.
hey mister, all that, like no. Wayfinder's Terrifico is what it's called.
Terrifico. Okay.
And the first thing that drew me to it was like, it's got this cool can. It's like a horror type can, and it says like Italian style Pilsner, right? And it's like, it looks like it's got this girl on it with like this symbol on her head and like lights coming out of her eyes.
Sick.
It's like a beautiful can, and that drew me to it first. And then I had never had an Italian Pilsner before. Actually, I did. I had one at Backwoods, which was pretty good, also seasonal. But it's you take your Pilsner beer, like your regular Pilsner, and you throw in notes of like citrus and almost like a flowery sort of flavor to it. And the combination is just beautiful. I'm not sure what's making it like that, because I just like to drink it.
I wouldn't even know if I tasted an Italian. I wouldn't. That's like not a term I'm used
Yeah.
to. I'm not.
I've not seen them around until like this last year, really.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were out there before that, but they didn't come into my sphere of life until this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now I have to wait all the way till October. And you know my other favorite beer of all time. You know that one, right?
The pumpkin ale.
The pumpkin ale, the night owl.
Elysium.
Pumpkin ale, also only available seasonally. So for the rest of the year, I just sit there like,
Just waiting for the good ones.
just give me a pub beer. It's cheap.
I'm talking pub beer.
I'll take a pub, and I'll just be sad about it.
Yeah.
Pub
beer should be purple. There's something about the can.
You want to
that
crack
when I
that
open
open.
it, I want it purple to
So
come out of
it's
it.
a plain black and white can. It's like you're like, I didn't feel like putting any effort into this.
No.
That's what a pub beer can is.
Yeah.
If you ever seen Repo Man, you saw like where it says drink.
That's it.
And like cereal.
That's
They were like,
literally
yeah,
the
that's
same
our beer.
design. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Purple sounds good.
Mm.
All right. Last category, TV show of the year.
Okay, so this one was tough because I generally avoid getting into TV shows because I know how obsessive I can get with stuff, and I'm like, I gotta finish it, you know. And again, the time thing. But the last 2 or 3 weeks when I left the job, I've had a little more time at night while I'm, you know, doing other stuff and
Like
looking for other
avoiding
stuff.
making an audiobook. Tell me about the show you watch while you're not making audiobooks.
It's called, well, you're going to like this. It's called The Ins and Outs and the Do's and Don'ts of Making an Audiobook. I thought I would surprise you with that. So
now I feel like a jerk.
Well, you should, because no, it's actually a Dexter Original Sin. But there's only one episode so far out. But
did it just start or something?
It did. It just
Okay.
started. And I've been watching, I rewatched all of Dexter again.
Okay.
And
are you able to do a rewatch? I find when I rewatch something, I just zone out and I start looking at my phone and I start like wandering around and I yell at my cat.
No, I hear you. Yeah, it sometimes some of the stuff, if I remember the episode a lot, I'll just like leave it on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. And
you just like focus on your favorite parts when they come up. Or
yeah. I mean, what I did was, I skipped like season. Basically, I just kind of like skimmed through seasons 1 through 3, and then I just started at like the Trinity stuff, and then went on from there. Man, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that show relaxes me. I like it.
It's a little scary, but okay. My TV show of the year, I think I'm gonna go with. I was thinking like at first I was like Fallout. I really enjoyed that. It's just cool.
Oh, I forgot.
Fallout's like super cool.
I would have checked it out if I didn't space it.
If they didn't have that stupid Brotherhood of Steel character storyline, I would have given it my favorite. but that guy sucked. He just dragged down every scene he was in.
Huh.
They need to write him better. It's not the actor. I think the actor's fine. It's just not. It's not an interesting character.
Yeah.
But I love the visuals of it. Walton Goggins is amazing. The lady that plays the main character is pretty funny. I think she's got this weird like innocence about her because she's like stepping out of the vault, and you're like, what a goofball. She's like a goofball, and I kind of like that.
That's cool.
But the Brotherhood of Steel guy definitely dragged it down. The Penguin I thought about. Colin Farrell was amazing in that. The writing was just really cool. I love the lady that played Sophia. Great complex character. Really cool. I liked her better than any of the other characters, to be honest. I liked her better than the Penguin. But you know, there wasn't enough horror for me. So
Yeah.
So I went with True Detective season 4.
Oh, cool.
Did you watch that one?
No.
Dude, it's so cool. It's like,
Damn it. I got to catch up to that stuff.
like I like season 1. Season 2 was like, all right, okay. I mean, that's not nearly as good. It lost like sort of the weird mystical elements of it. And I never saw season 3 because season 2 was so like mid.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 4 came back and they brought back sort of like the other world elements of the show that was in the first one. And it was beautifully shot. It was beautifully told. It's a cool, like, diverse cast. And it was just perfect storytelling. So,
Who were the main people in this one?
oh my goodness. Jodie Foster was
Awesome.
like this just like tough, no nonsense cop. She's like a total ball buster. And then some of the other actors I didn't know. I still don't know their names, but they all did a fantastic job. Whoever was directing that got the best performances like out of everyone. There's not like a single
Cool.
wink link in that.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Excellent stuff.
Nice.
All right. Go check it out.
I will. I'm going to check
Everyone
that
else
out.
should check it out if you haven't seen it.
I want to check out that book, The House of Bone and Rain. The House of Rain and Bone.
Yeah. Buy it. People love the
Yeah.
books. They like getting books. All right. So we're at the end of this episode. This is fantastic. We talked a long time.
We
My
did.
tongue hurts. My tongue actually hurts.
No shit.
Yeah. I think I did
That's
something.
how you know you did it right.
Yeah. I don't talk this much. You know how much I talk at home?
Less than this.
Less than. That's the correct answer. Yeah. I'll sit in my house and not say a word unless like my wife's around or I'll say like a few words to my cat because she just
Yeah.
yells at me all the time.
Sure. Or if you get pranked.
Yeah, or if I accidentally pick. I have this guy's number. I have
Do
his
you
number.
really?
Yeah.
I smell an opportunity for the podcast.
I mean,
Give him a live call.
aren't prank calls illegal?
It's not a prank call. You're just calling a guy. You're just calling someone. That's not illegal.
I mean, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that illegal? That's not illegal.
I should be like,
You can call
hey,
anyone you want.
Hey, my buddy Nick wants to know how to get on the super secret nice list.
Dude, we're doing that for the next episode.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't wanna do it.
absolutely.
I don't want to be there because what if he's like a witch or something? I don't know. All right.
That's good. Yeah.
New Year's resolution, and then we're gonna get up out of here. You're gonna click like on this because we're so likable.
Right. Goes without saying. Or
We
with
just-
saying. It
We
goes
just
with
gave
saying.
you cool books, movies, video games, beers, and TV shows to check out.
Yeah.
So you owe us. You need to give us a like.
Yeah.
Or subscribe. Or what else do they? Scott, did they do anything else?
They touch the thumb and
Can
then,
they just throw money at us? Like,
Click the bell so you get notified.
okay, click the bell so you get notifications
yeah.
when new episodes come out.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. New Year's resolution. Did you come up with one? I told you it was going to come your way. This is how we get out of here. This is your key out of Wonderland.
I've been using the DAW Reaper pretty frequently in the last month, coming up with some
What the hell
recordings.
is that?
It's a DAW is just is it even a fancy term? I don't know, for a music mixing software hub, like a Garage Band or a Studio Guy.
Dude, you're so good at explaining stuff.
Pro
You,
Tools,
you
Logic,
use it to help you record
Ableton.
and mix music.
yeah, or what have you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay. So
I just
what
wanted
about
to say
this?
Studio Guy. Shout out to Studio Guy. Hopefully he'll join one of these days. And then yeah, and so this year I really am gonna pump out tons of the audio book stuff. Pump it out, dude. Get real real efficient with it. And same thing with music, record a bunch. And eat less processed carbs because I'm addicted to them like a drug. It's like my heroin. Give me a chip. You put a chip in front of me, I can have a stomach as full as the day I was born. I don't know what that means, but I'll eat
You're
the chip.
born with a full stomach? That's creeping me out, dude. This is my friend Nick. He was born with a full stomach, man.
It was full of chips.
Don't mess with Tim, dude. He's like,
dude, don't fuck
he
with him.
was born with a full stomach.
You think you could eat more hot dogs than him? He was born with a full stomach.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm totally thrown. I don't even know what you're doing this. I'm like, I can't even hold you to it if you like don't.
I'll
'Cause
be,
I don't know
I'll
what
be
you're
in the
doing.
studio.
Yeah, you'll be in the studio.
Y'all be
not eating processed foods.
Yeah. No
You're just
chips,
gonna eat-
no
you're gonna
crunchies.
just have
I mean, there'll be a couple crunchies here and there.
Okay.
But a couple versus 1,000 a day is,
No, man. Awesome day. Yeah. All right. Mine is I gotta start going for like more walks. I've just been like writing too much. And like I know my 4 fans don't want to hear that. They just want me to write all the time, right? But I gotta get out into the world and like move. I just feel like
that's important.
Yeah.
And that'll help with everything.
Yeah.
With the process and
My
stepping
problem
away.
is that I don't like the cold. And it's cold. And I don't like gyms because there's dinguses recording there.
Yeah, that's true. Have you heard of there's people, it's this thing called a coat. You could put it on your body.
Yeah, but then you sweat in your coat and you get a sweat coat.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Get something like this and then you can just wash it every, a lot or something. Only get one with the stripes on it because that's.
I got it. The stripe. Yeah, I would not get the one without the stripes.
Oh, what are you saying?
You should have got the one with the stripes. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. You're gonna click likes and bells and.
If there was a whistle, you do that.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And there's like other things. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. We'll see you for episode 3 whenever that is, and we'll be talking about whatever we talk about.
Wranglers and Wranglers.
Follow me to the sunny streets, open your ears and brains. A recipe of passion bloody trees, right here's where you jump the trains. The clock stops here, so grab a beer, throw your sensibilities away. We ain't walking, we're talking to the north, east, west, and south. This cast is fast like the dead we will last. We're running on rotten mouths. We're talking to the north, east, west, and south.